The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Leadership Podcast. It is yet another edition of The Big Issue. And of course, as usual, I'm here in the studio with our in-house analyst, Sunday Isua and Tunde Ogunzola. Thank you for having me. I am your regular host, George Abba. And of course, together we'll be taking you on the big issue of the day, which is the duplication of 257 projects worth 20 billion naira in 2021 budget by ministries, departments, and agencies. The Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission had said on Tuesday that the review of the 2021 budget has led to discovery of 257 projects duplicated, which are worth 20.138 billion naira. The chairman of ICPC, Professor Bolaji Owasanoye, made the disclosure at the 10th National Summit on Diminishing Corruption in Public Sector, with the theme Corruption and Court of Government New Imperative for Fiscal Transparency, organized by the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. He said the commission also uncovered a syndicate of corrupt individuals within the service, which corruptly employed unsuspecting Nigerians, issued them fake letters of employment, fraudulently enrolled them on IPPIS, and posed them equally unsuspecting MDAs to commence work. He said ICPC was already prosecuting one of the leaders of the syndicate, from whose custody led to the retrieval of several fake letters of recommendation, purportedly signed by Chief of Staff to the President, ministers, Federal Civil Service Commission, and other high-ranking Nigerians. Well, President Muhammadu Buhari, however, assured that the federal government will sanction those who bring in personnel into the public workforce by illegal recruitment and pad their payroll and retain ghost workers. He also said the federal government will sanction MDAs, heads of MDAs, who are fond of recycling ongoing projects as new ones in the annual budget. That is why, see, budget implementation under Buhari are not up to 30% completion before the end of the budget cycle. That is why most Nigerians are saying it is the reason why most MDAs can recycle these projects and then present them as new ones. They say government should release money constantly so that this project will be completed before the next budget cycle. And by that, it will be very difficult to recycle this project. What do you think?
Well, this is an indictment to Buhari's administration, because it was Buhari that presented this budget to the National Assembly. You know, that is having all these over 400 and something padded project inside the budget. And also, it gets to show that the ICPC itself is not serious about their work, because ICPC, based on the act establishing them, they are supposed to have actus in all the MDAs and parastatals. That actus are supposed to serve as the monitors of any wrongdoing in that organization. How has that actus worked effectively to ensure that corruption is not even taking place? It means that the ICPC is not serious and it has not even been carrying its work diligently. And this revelation now is an indictment to the president, because it shows that the president don't know what they are doing. If ICPC know what they are doing, when this budget was being prepared, they will have gone through those projects and discovered this thing before raising this alarm. Not just allowing our president to present over 400 and something padded projects. And we all know, as Nigerians, we know what is happening in the country. year in, year out, you keep seeing budget increasing, but the infrastructures are decreasing. What is happening? Because they keep recycling projects. They keep recycling things they buy. Even if they release money for that particular item and they buy or they purchase that particular item, next year they will still bring the same item as part of the budget. And what is ICPC doing? What are the actors doing? How many of them have they prosecuted? They just like, going to the villa to give out huge, allegations so that the media will carry out a very strong headlines that will even scare law-abiding
giving the
Nigerians,
impression that
giving
they are
the
doing their work.
impression that they are doing their work. What kind of work is that?
It's always uncovered.
Who will have expected the ICPC to advise the president that don't even present this budget yet. There are some things, certain things we are doing, and let us collaborate with Ministry of Finance and ensure that these MDAs do the right thing. But they allow the president to carry a padded budget with project to the National Assembly and present to the National Assembly, as a document that will be worked on and passed, and for him to sign for the country to have a fiscal year in 2022. I think the ICPC is doing disservice to Nigeria. They need to work harder because we don't want to be hearing allegations. We want the corruption to be tackled from the root.
All right, Sua, thank you. But you have already what Sua said. It's an indictment on the executive from the president to the ministries and the DMOs who ought to have identified some of these old projects or ongoing projects being recycled before the budget is being presented by Mr. President to the National Assembly. But there are Nigerians who feel that the issue being raised by Buhari following ICPC's revelation is an indictment on the National Assembly, which ought to have identified these loopholes in the budgeting cycle through their oversight function. So who do we blame now? Just like Sua said, the executive. Some Nigerians are saying the National Assembly. What do you
Thank you for that question, George. Let me say first, this indictment is a slap on the face of all Nigerians. It indeed shows that Nigeria is indeed fantastically corrupt once again. How can we keep living? Statement. How can we keep living in a country where every day they keep digging out corruption, amounting to over 20 billion naira, and we said we are moving forward. We are moving backward. We are not moving. We are like 10 steps moving backward, just a step forward and move 10 steps backward. It's indeed sad that the need to amass wealth is too high in this country, which has made the country to be retrogressing over the years and not achieving desired results. It's very sad. Nigerians are not living the best of life just because of corruption. Corruption has led to poor development in all cycles. Bad roads everywhere, they don't care. All they know is their own pockets. Civil servants are however, in charge of these MDAs. I can say civil servants are also one of the most wonderful corrupt persons I've ever seen. They are the ones who are like, who even go to meet the ministers who are federal government appointees to show them this is how we can do it, this is how we can amass this wealth, this is how we can get this to us.
And then the corner,
they do everything together. Corner public funds.
So I see them building houses.
Several houses. Look at houses everywhere.
One of the civil servants was found with about more than 150 houses.
Is it just 150 houses? Several of them. Several houses. Some with over 80 something houses.
Yeah.
And what did you need something houses for? If it's not just the craze, what about the money some take abroad that they will never touch till they die? And Nigeria will never know that they have this money in the coffers, in the banks abroad. It's so sad. We cannot continue like this. The National Assembly has failed us, just like the president who has done. It's an indictment. How can you go and present this budget to us and just for that speech to come behind and say they've dictated over 20 billion for it? No, this is very sad. I think this should be taken forward. We need to change Nigeria. Nigeria is not. We are not improving. We are just in a nation where it seems anything that comes, maybe perhaps I was talking to someone and I said the only thing that seems maybe perhaps we are moving forward, it seems because some Nigerians are now more exposed, some Nigerians are now more educated, they can now compare, they can now juxtapose what's happening in the nation with other countries, perhaps maybe because of the internet. But when it comes to development, we are not moving forward. We are just giants of Africa by mouth. We are not achieving any progress. Please, we need to do the needful to ensure that we get it right as a nation.
Thank you very much. So, Tunde is very angry about the civil servants who embark on all these evil acts. And of course, it is annoying. But let's look at the process of checking against, because we know that ordinarily there will be corruption, or how to tame the monster called corruption by aligning all these unscrupulous elements within the civil service to do all these things. At least there's a way one can check against them, identify, bring out those who accomplish, sanction them, get rid of them from the system. But from the MDAs, the DMO's office, the Ministry of Finance, that cannot identify some of these recycled old budgets, down to even the National Assembly, because it means that all the promise of getting rid of budget padding is a mirage. Because if budget padding cannot be identified under the Ninth Assembly, then it's worrisome. Because now the process of budget review is ongoing. We've not had the National Assembly, which ought to have even identified this through oversight function. You say, I know, but last year we went and looked at some of this project. Why is it that you are returning it back as a new one when it is an ongoing project? What can be done to avoid budget padding?
Well, the Buhari's administration came with some promises, and the major one was to fight corruption. Now, if you are saying you will fight corruption, and within 6 months that Buhari came, there was no ministers on the ground, and that affected the economy of the country. A lot of civil servants were afraid, wanting to know the body language of the president. There are some things that civil servants were refusing to do just because they don't know the side where the president was told, because they believe that he was out to fight corruption. But the president came in, the team is supposed to set up a ministerial team that will monitor contract awards in agencies and parastatals. Till today, even from his first time till today, the president have not set up this committee. And most of this contract you are seeing is either contractor lobby to get a letter of no objection, or some other scrupulous means of manipulating project, manipulating contract. That's what they are doing. And the president is not even looking at those areas as the fundamental root causes of corruption. His own is just about stealing and all that. Corruption is rooted deeply in the civil service. The ICPC that has been raising this issue, the ICPC is supposed to work more than EFCC, because their work is more.
We don't even see
About corrupt practices.
Yes,
we don't even see
it-
them. Besides this, I've not had any important message from them.
So, but ICPC, I don't just understand the way they operate, and they are not even helping the president in ensuring that they fight corruption. And I think something needs to be done.
Well, this one will come back to you. Let's just quickly take a short break and then we'll be back. But before we do that, I think we'll be expecting comments from our viewers, which have always have been shaping the conversation on the big issue. We'll be back in a moment.
Hello, my name is Gambo Aliyu, Director General National Agency for the Control of AIDS. Today is World AIDS Day. The theme of this year's World AIDS Day is End Inequalities, End AIDS, End Pandemics. We encourage people to access our services wherever they are, and we encourage people to contribute to the control of HIV/AIDS by knowing their HIV status today. Know your HIV status and do something about it. If you are HIV positive, make sure you access our services and make sure we control the HIV in you without letting it spread from you to another person. If you are HIV negative, make sure you remain HIV negative for the rest of your life.
The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Welcome back. We're still on the Big Issue in Leadership podcast. And of course, before we do that, today is World AIDS Day. And of course, that was the DG of NACA talking about HIV. So that disease has refused to go. It has always remained. That is an age-long disease that has always been there. And recent report I saw, it say about 300,000 children are being infected with HIV every year or so. And that was what I got. And we got the NACA DG here in Leadership Podcast last week when he said that HIV will be put under control in 18 months. That is from now till about, I think it will be sometime in 2023. We don't know how they intend to do this, but I think with the kind of rapid fire approach they are using in tackling the scourge and sensitizing Nigerians on the stigma and then encouraging some of these antiretroviral drugs.
Well, for me, to halt HIV is simply abstinence, but I believe most Nigerians cannot abstain. What the government needs to do is to continue to sensitize Nigerians, and that's why keep distributing sex control, how would I call it, objects like condoms and all the rest, and keep sensitizing. However, beside that figures you just mentioned now, young girls get more HIV. This is sad, but I think I'm not a medical personnel, but I believe because of their opening, they are more open and they are more vulnerable, and some of them are in school, but they need money to pay for themselves. They started prostituting and all
this. They say Nigerians are unable to zip up. Is it only Nigerians or?
It's not. It's a global pandemic.
I think what the NACA needs to do now is to focus more on preventing mother-to-child infection. Yes, because once you are able to
that's on the advanced stage.
Yes, once you are able to address that one, for the adult, really I'll talk about issue of prevention and using all kind of protective measures. But I think abstinence is the most important thing that Nigerians should abide. But the agency responsible for this should ensure that this issue of mother to child, because once a child is infected, you know that there is danger ahead. But if that child is born, negative, even the mother will be happy, even if she's positive, and she know that she will live a normal life, because the kind of bullying that was happening before. How did it do? I'm looking for a word. Stigmatization. Yes, that was happening before is not happening now, because people are aware that yes, if you have HIV, either by mistake, you can live a normal life.
Well, Isua, thank you. Well, be it as it may, I think the National Agency for the Control of AIDS, NACA, I think they're doing a good job, because at least it's one disease that has actually been put under control to an extent. And of course, the NACA DG said in 18 months' time, it will be totally a thing of the past. How they do it is left for us to see. But back to the big issue of the day, which is the discovery of duplication of 257 projects worth 20 billion naira in the 2021 budget. Well, apart from that particular revelation by ICPC, the ICPC also said people are being employed secretly despite the integrated personnel and payroll information system, IPPIS. Yes. It means that the integrity of this IPPIS has been compromised as well.
Yeah.
Because the people operating it too may have been compromised. You understand? If such employment still goes on under such system that is supposed to check against ghost workers, illegal recruitment, yes, what should be done to address this issue?
Well, you see, it all depends on how the syndicate, recruiting people into the services, it depends on how, strong they are. So if there are people who are genuine civil servants, it will be difficult for you to, deny their candidate enrollment into the IPPIs because they know all the nitty-gritty. They are the one carrying out the normal recruitment, But I'll still hit back at the ICPC because to me they have not been doing enough because I know the act establishing ICPC and I know how strong their work is. If they are lacking in funding, they should come out to say that they are lacking in funding. But ICPC is supposed to be preventing corruption, not just watching it to happen. Then tomorrow they will come and start crying. Yes, mind-boggling figures. That anti-corruption unit in all the offices of the civil service. How many of them has ICPC inaugurated? Because I know when I was covering that commission, I know some agencies that willingly they will go to ICPC and say, we now have to come and inaugurate that chapter. And you will see that, yes, that agency is willing to fight corruption. But today, ICPC is not even sensitizing people. It's not even sensitizing the ministries, agencies on the need to establish these actors. And you find out that even in some places where actors have been established, their heads are always being humiliated without any support from the ICPC. Once a head of actor raises an issue of wrongdoing there, they will now, pull out and allow the head of that agency to deal with such a staff. Do you think some people would like to blow the whistle? They will not want to blow the whistle. So ICPC need to work harder because we know that employment in Nigeria, illegal employment is an everyday thing.
Well, so thank you. ICPC also said they have also retrieved letters of recommendation purportedly signed by the Chief of Staff to the President, ministers, the Federal Civil Service Commission, and other high-ranking Nigerians. So if people can fake recommendations and use it to get employment, it means there are people in government that honor these letters. And people are being employed based on man, no man. Doesn't this question the transparency of the recruitment process into the public service under a government that says it is winning the war against corruption?
This not just the transparency of the recruitment process, but the transparency and openness of Nigeria as a country. We live in a country where once your name is Usman Abdullahi, you're already 5 years experience than somebody whose name is Emeka Samuel in terms of normal employment. When it comes to recruitment into the Nigerian Army, the Nigerian Navy, and the Air Force, the armed forces as a whole, a name with Abdullahi is number one. When you take a look at the list, you see more of people from a certain region. All this bring out the need, the desperation for someone from all these practices. And it shows that Nigeria as a country is sick. Yes, we are. Nepotism is on the high in this country. We are a country where there is no balance. There is unequal distribution of wealth. There was a time Arewa was trending on Twitter. You see the cars. Some were even pulling out trucks that they've never used before, showing it all over the internet. While people from the south cannot even show anything. You understand me? So while the argument will also be, where are they getting this money from?
You're talking. Of course, sorry to cut you short before you continue. This thing for me is not about the south and the northern. Even the so-called northerners, those from the middle belt, are passing through all this kind of segregation when it comes to employment.
Yeah, agreed.
Yes.
People are agreed. People are generally
Kaduna, for instance, within a state, you know that the benefits and favor. The man from Kaduna, the man from southern Kaduna cannot get such such a favor and such privileges like the man from the how do they call it Northern Kaduna or what do you call it?
See where it's from. So I can speak more about that. But however, I think to solve all this, we need an equal distribution of the nation resources. Everybody must be carried along. I would not like to call name, but I can tell you there are government agency where you go that you just hear only one language, from the gatesman to the top executive. If you cannot speak that language, I'm afraid there was a place that said, I can't work in this ministry.
And then that must be the official language of communication in that
Yes,
particular agency.
I can't work here because your life is even at risk. Where you cannot even, they don't speak English, they turn into vernacular. Everybody speaks same language. You that you are from another region, you see, why some people say Nigeria is a mistake. These are all these reasons. You understand? Where somebody from me, okay, from my state down to my local government, they will ask you, what's your state of origin, your local government, they will still ask you your hometown. All these things to know where you are from, and when they know it already, like, oh, this one we don't even need to. It's not for us. You understand? So we need to get it right as a nation. That's my suggestion.
Well, it's over finally before we go, because time is no more on our side. Buhari has vowed to sanction heads of indicted MDAs that fraudulently present ongoing project as new ones. Nigerians are saying they hope this is not the normal statement we'll always hear. At the end of the day, you will not even see any sign of such sanctions being taken place.
You know, the president has been found. I don't know how many times we will continue.
It's not giving matching orders.
Matching order, about 20 orders against the bandits.
Let's hope that this vow yield result.
Okay. Well, that is the much we can take for the big issue of the day. And of course, I'll thank you out there for keeping tab with us. And our in-house analysts, Isuwa and Oguntola, thank you for a very good job here. Join us same time tomorrow for another edition of the big issue. Have a wonderful day.